Okay, picture this. You're one of just 300 defenders holed up in a remote castle, and outside, an army of thousands. Winter is biting down hard, your supplies are completely gone, and surrender, well, that's just not on the table. This is the story of an absolutely impossible last stand, a siege that didn't end with some final heroic battle, but with an eerie, freezing silence.
So our story kicks off right here, at Gvozdansko Castle. This place was a super-critical outpost for the Kingdom of Croatia, right in the middle of that long, brutal 100 Years' War against the Ottoman Empire. And this very fortress, it became the stage for one of the most incredible acts of defiance you'll ever hear about.
But, to really get why this place was defended so fiercely, you gotta understand something. This wasn't just some pile of rocks on a hill. No, Gvozdansko was a source of incredible power and wealth, and that made it a prize absolutely worth dying for.
The castle itself? It was a pretty classic rectangular fort, owned by the very powerful Zrinski noble family. But its main job wasn't just military. It was way more strategic than that. See, it was built for one specific reason: to guard the super valuable mines all around it. And this really shows you the castle's two sides perfectly. On the right, you've got the military ground plan. But on the left, that's a silver coin, and it was minted right there at Gvozdansko using silver pulled straight from those local mines. So this wasn't just a fortress, not by a long shot. It was a private mint, a real economic engine that was bankrolling the Zrinski family's power. All right, so let's fast forward to the 1570s. By this point, the winds of war are howling. You've got the massive Ottoman Empire just pushing relentlessly against the Croatian frontier. And wouldn't you know it, Gvozdansko is standing right in the way.
And the guy leading this charge, his name was Ferhad Bey Sokolović. He was the Sanjak Bey, think of it like a governor of Bosnia. And his goal was crystal clear and super ambitious. He wanted to conquer the entire Una River Valley and just shove that frontier way deeper into Croatian lands.
This map just perfectly shows the kind of pressure they were under. I mean, just look at the scale of this thing. That little sliver of orange, that's the Kingdom of Croatia, just clinging on for dear life. And all that green, that's the massive, ever-expanding Ottoman Empire. That frontier was a place of non-stop, brutal conflict.
Now, Ferhad Bey's campaign was nothing if not systematic and brutal. In 1575, he starts his push. A year later, Gvozdansko has already beaten back one attack, but its walls are damaged. But then, the dominoes just start to fall. Fort after fort gets captured. The main defensive line just collapses. And then finally, the nearby fort of Zrin is taken. And just like that, Gvozdansko is utterly, completely alone.
So, when the final siege officially kicked off on October 3rd, 1577, the defenders inside Gvozdansko, they knew. They knew no help was coming. They were totally cut off, massively outnumbered, and a bitter winter was starting to set in.
And this just lays out the insane odds they were facing. On one side, you have about 300 guys, a mix of soldiers and local miners. And on the other side, Ferhad Bey Sokolović and the Ottoman Empire, with an army of anywhere between 5,000 and 10,000 soldiers. The mismatch it's just staggering.
So even with those odds, even with the starvation, the thirst, running out of ammo, and that bone-chilling cold of a Balkan winter, the garrison's response to every single offer of surrender was exactly the same: no. Their defiance was just absolute.
Now, in those final days, the fighting just hit a fever pitch. January 10th, 1578, they repel a huge assault. The very next day, January 11th, they do it again. They beat back another one. And then on the 12th, a third all-out attack. And somehow, it was repelled. And this was done by maybe the last 25 or 30 men left standing. It's just incredible.
And then, just nothing. After 3 straight days of absolutely furious fighting, on the night of January 12th, this weird, eerie silence just falls over the entire castle. The battle was suddenly and completely inexplicably over.
So the Ottoman commanders are watching from their camp, and they see the last of the little watchfires inside the fort just flicker out. Now, Ferhad Bey, he's a seasoned general, right? He immediately suspects a trap. I mean, why would they go silent now? So he orders his troops to just hold tight and wait for morning before making that final push. When dawn finally breaks, the Ottoman forces storm the gates. But there was no trap, no final desperate charge. They didn't meet any resistance at all. Why? because every single defender was already dead. They were found frozen solid at their posts, having finally given in to their wounds, to hunger, thirst, and that brutal, relentless cold. And what happened next? This might be the most remarkable part of the whole story. Ferhad Bey was so impressed, so moved by the sheer courage of these men, that he did something pretty much unheard of at the time. He ordered a Christian burial for the dead, with full military honors. Their own enemy gave them the ultimate sign of respect.
So, what was the result of all this? What did this incredible sacrifice actually accomplish? Well, the fall of Gvozdansko had immediate and really long-lasting consequences. It forced a complete rethink of how the entire region was defended.
Strategically, the Ottoman frontier pushed forward. This forced the Habsburgs to completely reorganize what they called the military frontier. They even had to build a whole new fortress, Karlovac, to hold this new line. And as for the prize they fought so hard for, Ferhad Bey had the mines of Gvozdansko destroyed, basically erasing the very reason the castle was there in the first place.
If you go there today, you'll see the castle stands in ruins. The walls are crumbling, the mines have been gone for centuries. But even though the fortress itself fell, the story of its defenders, the men who chose to die on their feet rather than surrender, that story has endured for more than 400 years.
And that kind of leaves us with one last question, doesn't it? I mean, it wasn't a victory in the traditional sense. It didn't stop the Ottoman advance for very long. So, why do we still tell the story? What is it about a small group of people facing absolutely impossible odds that makes their sacrifice, their ultimate act of defiance, echo so powerfully down through the centuries?